This is Shuttle Launch Control. Now counting down to the launch of STS-36. We are again 1 hour away from the beginning of our launch period for the STS-36 launch this time. Everything is proceeding smoothly here in Firing Room 3 in the Launch Control Center and at Launch Pad 39A. The liftoff is planned for a time sometime between a 4-hour period beginning at midnight and extending until 4 a.m. Eastern Time. The exact launch time will not be announced publicly until T-minus 9 minutes and counting. And we will be broadcasting that and making that known as soon as that event occurs. This mission is dedicated to the Department of Defense, and all mission objectives and details are classified. For a nominal end of mission, the landing will occur at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The mission duration is classified. However, the exact day of landing will be announced sometime tomorrow morning. This launch marks the 4th launch in darkness in the history of the shuttle program. The first night launch was on STS-8 in August of 1983. 61B was launched in darkness in November 1985. And the most recent one was this past November, STS-33. The 5-member flight crew for mission STS-36 is currently on board the vehicle. The commander is John Creighton, a captain in the Navy and a veteran astronaut who was commander of mission 51G, launched June 1985. Atlantis' pilot is Air Force Colonel John Casper, a decorated test pilot making his first flight into space. The 3 mission specialists are Air Force Colonel Mike Mullane, making his 3rd flight into space, Marine Lieutenant Colonel David Hilmers, also embarking on his 3rd flight, and Navy Lieutenant Commander Pierre Thuet is a space rookie. In the last few hours, the external tank has been loaded with its flight load of 500,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen propellants. The 8-member ICE team has made their inspection of the vehicle and measured temperatures at the launch pad area of all vehicle elements. Yesterday's launch attempt was postponed at the T-minus 31-second mark when the range safety computer necessary for launch went down. That computer has since been repaired and is go for launch at this time. And the only issue being talked about by the launch team at this time is an icicle on the gaseous oxygen vent arm exhaust duct. There's a possibility that an ICE team members will be sent into the pad to remove those icicles, and we'll keep you up to date on that. No word on whether we will be sending a crew out there at this time. There's some analysis going on whether that icicle in fact would be a source of debris at launch time. No other problems being tracked, no technical issues being tracked at this time in the launch countdown. Activities are proceeding smoothly. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. Everything continued to go smoothly in the launch countdown for the STS-36 mission. The weather forecast for today's launch period indicates we have about a 60% overall chance of violating our launch commit criteria. Concerned with the winds at the surface winds at the pad, we're looking at about a 30% chance of violating our winds at the surface at the launch pad. Chance of that being greater than 24 knots is about 30%, and also chance of violating our crosswind component at the runway for a return to launch site would also be about 30%. That wind speed would vary depending on the direction. Looking at about scattered variable broken clouds at the 40,000 foot level and about 7 miles of visibility. Expected temperature is between 46 and 50 degrees. There was some talk earlier that we would be possibly be sending a red crew to the launch pad to remove an icicle on the gaseous oxygen vent arm exhaust duct, and since that time an analysis has been completed by engineers at the Rockwell facility in Downey, California, and also by engineers here and members of the ICE team here at Kennedy, and it has been determined that we will not need to send a red crew to the pad, that the icicle does not pose a safety of flight for this particular launch time. All continue to go smoothly at this time in the count. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control. All continue to go smoothly in this STS-36 launch countdown. Just several minutes away now from the opening of the launch period for this morning. Still keeping a close eye out on the weather. Seems to be the only issue at this time. It appears it probably will be a real-time call as far as the winds go, looking at surface winds at the launch pad and the crosswind component at the runway should a return to launch site abort become necessary. Some of the activities the launch team conducts during the countdown is to pressurize the orbital maneuvering system gaseous nitrogen tanks. Gaseous nitrogen is used to operate the valves in the orbital maneuvering system, and this allows the hypergolic propellants to flow into the OMS engines during flight. Also during the count, the post-launch inspection and safing teams are assembled at the A11 roadblock, and this is in case they should have to go into the pad at any certain time and begin safing systems, or in case some contingency arose, they are right there on station ready to respond. Another event is performed during a countdown is a pre-flight test of the master events controller. This component relays commands from the orbiter's computers to fire explosive charges to the solid rocket booster hold-down bolts at launch and to separate the tank and boosters in flight. Flight crews now strapped into their seats in the cockpit of Atlantis, and hatch has been closed for flight. Crews now preparing the orbiter for launch, conducting, moving the various switches in the cockpit to prepare the orbiter for launch. Again, no technical issues being tracked at this time. Still looking at a launch period of 4 hours today. Just a few seconds now into the launch period. It opened at midnight Eastern Time and extends till 4 a.m. All continue to go smoothly in the launch countdown for STS-36. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control. All continuing to go smoothly here in Firing Room 3 with the launch countdown for STS-36. Just got an update on the weather, and the weather situation is continuing to be monitored. We're looking at surface winds at the launch pad peaking above 24 knots, and that is our limit. We'll continue to monitor this situation and make a real-time call. Telsite weather is go, and RTLS weather for Kennedy is observed go and is forecast to be go during our launch period. Also looking at high cumulus clouds offshore. at this time. We will continue to monitor the weather and provide updates as we see them. Some of the activities that will be conducted in the launch countdown and that are standard for any countdown include putting the primary ascent software in the Ops 1 mode. Also, the backup flight system is also put in the same mode to match the configuration of the primary ascent software system. The memory of the computers is dumped so that they can compare and make sure that there are no unexpected results. This is also a standard activity performed in the launch countdowns. Houston flight controllers send pre-flight uplink commands to the orbiter's backup flight system. They're sent through the MILA tracking station, and it puts the 5th general purpose computer in the proper configuration. Another event is performed by pilot Casper. That will be to perform the main propulsion system helium system reconfiguration. This opens helium isolation valves necessary for in-flight purges of the engines and provide an emergency source of pressure for pneumatic shutdown of the engines. Crossfeed valves between the orbital maneuvering system and reaction control system propellant tanks is also performed during the countdown. In addition, the quantities of the reaction control system propellant tanks will be read to the orbiter test conductor here in the firing room from the cockpit. A gaseous nitrogen purge is activated for the aft skirts on the solid rocket boosters. The flow of this inert gas ensures that no explosive or flammable gases can accumulate in the bottom of the boosters prior to ignition. Another important event is clearing all non-essential personnel from the launch danger area. There are again no technical issues being tracked. The only potential threat against launch today would be surface winds at the launch pad area exceeding our 24-knot limit. We are continuing to monitor that situation, and we'll be making real-time calls. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. We will be playing a 3-minute videotape of flight crew activities that were conducted earlier this morning. That tape will be played at 12:25 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, it's a 3-minute videotape of flight crew activities that were conducted earlier this morning. Flight crew breakfast, suit up, and their departure from the operations and checkout building. This is Shuttle Launch Control, now standing by to get our videotape of flight crew activities played earlier this morning. Got breakfast in the operations and checkout building. There's mission specialist Mike Mulane making his 3rd trip into space this morning. Pilot John Casper getting ready to make his 1st trip. Commander Creighton making his 2nd trip into space, and mission specialist David Hilmers making his 3rd flight today, and mission specialist Pierre Thuet. This will be his 1st flight into space today. This is breakfast. Was recorded earlier this morning. Also recorded earlier this morning was flight crew members getting suited up. Mission specialist Mike Mulane, pilot John Casper, indicating he's ready to go this morning. There's Commander John Creighton. Mission specialist David Hilmers, fully suited up now with his helmet. Mission specialist Pierre Thuet. The suit-up room is in the Operations and Checkout building in KSC's industrial area. Crew gets suited up prior to riding out to the launch pad. And the crew now walking out of the Operations and Checkout building, led by Commander Creighton.
This time for sure.
Always greeted by some well-wishers at the Operations and Checkout building. Astronaut Mike Coates is at the end of the group there. He's flying in the shuttle training aircraft this morning, making some real-time assessments of the weather, and have departure of the astronaut van. Again, these events occurred earlier this morning, and we're now looking at a videotape. Crew now off to pad 39A. All countdown events continue to go smoothly. Only item being tracked at this time is the weather. That will be assessed as we get information in from various sources, weather balloons and Cape weather forecasts, and also forecasters at Mission Control Houston. Now a half hour into our launch period for the STS-36 launch. The exact launch time will not be known publicly until T-minus 9 minutes and counting. At that time, the ground launch sequencer will be in control. It's a master computer program that will issue commands to perform the final critical task required to put the vehicle in launch configuration. It monitors as many as 1,000 different measurements during the final 9 minutes to make sure they don't fall out of their predetermined limits. Flight crew now strapped aboard their seats in the shuttle Atlantis, getting ready for the sixth flight of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. External tank now full of its flight load of propellants, and everything continuing to go smoothly. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. Countdown activities are continuing smoothly. No technical issues being worked at this time that would prevent liftoff this morning. The only issue being worked is the winds on the surface at the launch pad area. Some discussion now going on about increasing the limits above the 24-knot point. Some analysis going on the structure of the vehicle and as it is stacked for this particular mission, and some discussion going on whether or not it could take winds greater than 24 knots. The wind appears to be at a steady state of being within the limits, but the gusts of 26 and 27 knots would put us over the limit, and that does appear to be forecast and occurring randomly at the surface area for this morning. So we're keeping a close eye out on the surface winds at the pad, and we'll be keeping you updated as that information becomes available. Some background information on the flight crew is, we'll start with Commander John Creighton. He's a captain in the United States Navy. He was selected as an astronaut in January of 1978. He was born in Orange, Texas, but considers Seattle, Washington to be his hometown. This will be his second flight. His first was as pilot for 51G, launched in June 17th, 1985. Creighton received his Bachelor's of Science degree from the United States Naval Academy and a Master of Science in Administration of Science and Technology from George Washington University. He started flight training following graduation from Annapolis and received his wings in 1967. He made 2 combat deployments to Vietnam aboard the USS Ranger, graduated from the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School at Patuxent River, Maryland, and upon graduation was assigned as a project test pilot with the Service Test Division at the Naval Air Station at Pax River. Creighton served as operations officer and F-14 program manager at the Naval Air Test Center Strike Directorate. He has logged 5,000 hours flying time, the majority of it in jet fighters, and has completed 500 carrier landings and 175 combat missions. Pilot John Casper is a colonel in the United States Air Force. He was born in Greenville, South Carolina, but considers Gainesville, Georgia to be his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Engineering Science from the United States Air Force Academy and a Master of Science degree in Astronautics from Purdue University. He received his pilot wings at Reese Air Force Base, Texas. He flew 229 combat missions in the F-100 during his assignment at Phan Rang Air Base. He was selected as an astronaut in June 1985 and was the astronaut office lead in improving shuttle onboard computer software and hardware. Casper has logged over 5,300 hours flying time in 48 different aircraft. Mission Specialist David Hilmers, a lieutenant colonel in the United States Marine Corps, was born in Clinton, Iowa, but considers DeWitt, Iowa to be his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics from Cornell College, a Master of Science degree in electrical engineering in 1977, and the degree of electrical engineer from the United States Naval Postgraduate School. He became a NASA astronaut in 1981. The STS-36 mission will be Hilmer's 3rd trip into space. He flew a mission F-51J, a classified Department of Defense mission launched October 3, 1985. That was the maiden voyage of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. His second flight was STS-36, the first return-to-flight mission launched September 29, 1988. During that mission, the crew successfully deployed the tracking and data relay satellite and operated 11 mid-deck experiments. Mission Specialist Richard Mike Mulane was born in Wichita Falls, Texas, but considers Albuquerque, New Mexico to be his hometown. He's a colonel in the United States Air Force. Received a Bachelor of Science degree in Military Engineering from the United States Military Academy and was awarded a Master of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering from the Air Force Institute of Technology. He completed combat missions as a weapons system operator while stationed at Vietnam in 1969. He subsequently served a 4-year tour of duty at the Royal Air Force Base in Alconbury, England. This will be his 3rd flight into space. He was a mission specialist on the crew of STS-41D, launched August 30th, 1984. He flew again aboard Atlantis on mission STS-27, a classified Department of Defense mission launched December 2nd, 1988. Pierre Thuet, a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy, was born in Groton, Connecticut, but considers Fairfax, Virginia to be his hometown. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in physics from the U.S. Naval Academy and a Master of Science degree in Systems Management from the University of Southern California. He received his wings in August 1978. He has made overseas deployments to the Mediterranean and Caribbean seas aboard the USS John F. Kennedy and the USS Independence. He attended the Navy Fighter Weapons School, graduated from the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School in June 1983. He then worked as a project test flight officer at the Naval Air Test Center, flying the F-14A Tomcat, A-6E Intruder, and the F-4J Phantom II. He has logged over 2,300 flight hours in more than 40 different aircraft and has over 270 carrier landings. Thuet became a NASA astronaut in July 1986. He has participated in the design, development, and evaluation of space shuttle payloads and crew equipment that has extravehicular activity interfaces or interfaces with the robot arm. He has served as a capsule communicator and mission control center, responsible for communications with the shuttle crew during training simulations and actual missions. This will be through its first flight into space. Again, all countdown activities going smooth. Continuing to monitor the weather situation here at Kennedy. We do have a cloud deck moving into the area at about the 5,000 foot level, and this would be a constraint for a return to launch site weather at this time. So we will keep a close eye out on weather systems, surface winds at the pad, and clouds for RTLS conditions. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. All activities proceeding normally in the countdown. Still tracking weather situation here at Kennedy Space Center. We've got concerns with a cloud deck on the forecast to be in the shuttle landing facility area, which would violate our return to launch site criteria. Need clear skies so that we have good visibility of the runway in case a return to launch site abort situation would become necessary. They got me. The launch team has been assessing the loads on the vehicle and have increased the limits up to 26 knots for surface winds here at Kennedy Space Center at the launch pad area. Any excursions above that are being monitored closely, and at this time it would appear that we would be okay with the 26 knot limit, and currently are monitoring the ceilings and the cloud cover at the runway at this time. That is forecast at 5,000 feet to be broken, which would be a no-go condition for a return to launch site, and still keeping an eye out on that. We are utilizing our standard weather observation tools, which include sensors at the pad. We've got astronaut Mike Coates up in the shuttle training aircraft making observations and real-time forecasts. We do have until 4 a.m. for our launch period this morning. Launch could occur anytime within this time frame up until 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The exact launch time will not be made public until T-minus 9 minutes and counting. Still continuing to monitor weather here at Kennedy and cloud cover at the shuttle landing facility. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. Still watching weather situation here at Kennedy Space Center for launch this morning for mission STS-36. We've got pilot Michael Coates making some approaches to the shuttle landing facility to check the visibility and cloud deck that is over the runway at this time that would violate our return to launch site criteria. Also continuing to monitor surface winds at the launch pad area. Now, after a careful analysis, have determined that it would be acceptable to have 26 knot winds from the surface at the launch pad area for launch, after carefully analyzing the vehicle and the structural loads based on this particular vehicle and its configuration. We have noticed some of the winds are gusting to 27 knots in the past few minutes here at the launch pad, so we are keeping a close eye out on that, and also with the cloud cover at the runway. No change in the status at this point, and it appears to be the only factor in holding up launch today. And we'll continue to keep you up to date on the weather situation. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. No technical issues being tracked at this time that would hold up launch of Atlantis this morning. The only issue being addressed at this time is the weather, of course, concerned with surface winds at the launch pad and cloud cover at the shuttle landing facility in case a return to launch site abort would become necessary. We've got Michael Coates in a shuttle training aircraft making approaches at the runway, checking for visibility. And we've got sensors on the launch pad that are being monitored by Cape weather forecasting officials, and that data is being processed and is available to the launch director and mission management team members. That's some background information on processing activities of Atlantis to get ready for this mission. We started when Atlantis returned from the Dryden Flight Research Facility following the STS-34 mission that occurred on October 30th of last year. Atlantis was then towed to the Orbiter Processing Facility, where the main engines were removed and taken to the engine shop in the VAB for the replacement of several components and post-flight testing. Engines were reinstalled while the orbiter was in the Orbiter Processing Facility. At the same time, the solid rocket boosters were being stacked on the mobile launcher platform number 1 in the vehicle assembly building. The external tank was mated to the boosters on December 21st. Atlantis was transferred from the processing hangar to the vehicle assembly building on January 19th, where it was mated to the tank and boosters. A shuttle interface test was conducted in the VAB to check out the mechanical and electrical connections between the various elements of the vehicle and the launch platform itself. The space shuttle vehicle was rolled out of the assembly building aboard its mobile launcher platform for the 3.4-mile trip to Launch Pad 39A on January 25th. A countdown demonstration test, which is a dress rehearsal for the flight crew and the launch team, was held on February 2nd and 3rd. In the last few weeks, we've conducted our standard launch preparations, including final vehicle ordnance activities, loading the fuel cell storage tanks, pressurizing hypergolic propellant tanks aboard the vehicle, and a functional check of the range, safety, and solid rocket booster ignition, safe, and arm devices. Launch countdown began last Sunday and has been in several unplanned holds for weather to clear, and also to earlier in the week to give Commander Creighton time to recover from an upper respiratory tract infection. Commander was cleared for flight, and again, still waiting for the weather to clear here at Kennedy Space Center to allow us an opportunity to launch this morning. No technical issues being tracked. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control for STS-36. Still looking at weather being primary concern for today's launch attempt. Still not showing any improvement at all on the cloud cover at the runway here at Kennedy Space Center. Still forecasting broken clouds at the 5,000-foot level, which is a no-go situation for RTLS for a launch. We'll continue to keep a close eye out on that situation in the hope that it may improve. At this point, though, it does not appear likely. We'll keep you posted as things develop. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control, and Launch Director Bob Seek has informed the launch team that we will scrub for today. There's no hope in sight that the weather would clear to permit us to launch this morning, and we're going to recycle for a 48-hour scrub turnaround, and we will be draining the tank, and launch team now in the recycle mode, safing all the systems on the orbiter. The flight crew will be getting out of the cockpit later on, and as soon as they configure the cockpit and configure the vehicle for a safe operation. Again, we have postponed today's launch attempt due to weather at the shuttle landing facility being unacceptable for launch today. We did have a cloud cover in the area, making visibility not what it should be in case we needed to make a return to launch site. Also, we're getting indications that the winds would be in violation of our crosswind limits at the runway. We are in the process of recycling in the launch countdown, preparing for a 48-hour turnaround. We will be needing to replenish liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen at the storage farms at the launch pad at Pad A. That will take place over the next couple days. And launch team members will be assembling to make sure that we do cover all things that need to be addressed, and any components or systems that need to be checked prior to another launch attempt. Again, we have scrubbed for a second time and looking for a recycle now, going back to a 48-hour scrub turnaround. The external tank will be drained of its liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, and the flight crew will be getting out of the cockpit and going back to the flight crew quarters at the operations and checkout building. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
This is Shuttle Launch Control. The launch of STS-36 was postponed at 2:32 a.m. Monday due to weather constraints. A 2,000 thick cloud deck moved into the area at the 5,000 foot level, violating the visibility rules for a return to launch site abort. Launch Director Bob Seek asked the team to prepare for a 48-hour recycle. A minimum of 48 hours is necessary in order to replenish the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen ground-based spheres, as well as give the launch team a well-deserved break. This concludes commentary for this launch attempt for STS-36.